Welcome to the Dr. Michele Show. Today I'm talking with Youth United team Bianca, Myles, and Tyanna McClain about the organization's mission to engage youth voices. Stay tuned for the conversation. We're going to take a quick break, share your thoughts on Facebook and Instagram at Mind Matters with Dr. Michele. Welcome back to the Dr. Michele Show. And welcome, Bianca and Tyanna.
Hello.
I'm so glad to have you here today. And you're working for an organization that's doing just awesome things. I mean, whenever we're doing something to promote youth, that's wonderful. But you're not just promoting, you're promoting youth voices. So tell me a little bit about the background of Youth United.
So Youth United is a youth-led initiative that promotes youth voice, as you just mentioned, throughout Wayne County system of care. We've been around since 2003, starting. We came about to really have an initiative out there that really advocates for youth and mental health. Our main focus area is mental health in youth and breaking down the stigma for youth and mental health between the ages of 14 to 25. Which is really interesting because when I got started, I didn't think of youth being like 20, 25.
Yeah.
And so it's really good to know now that I'm in my early 20s, like I still am a youth, you know, and I still have struggles and need some things and some support. And Youth United really highlights and really try to bring awareness and share that voice on those needs for that population.
Mm-hmm. And then we still take our time to identify different activities for both age gaps. So we will have certain activities that's strictly for kids in high school or youth in high school. And then we'll have some for people who are in college or who are entrepreneurs or in different trades or fields or just living life in that young adult age range as well.
Yeah. So what are your roles as your youth advocates?
So I am a youth involvement specialist for Youth United. I coordinate the program. And Tyanna?
So we have 3 different regions. Our 3 different regions have 3 different focus areas, and we're in 3 different agencies. With that being said, we have the Children's Center, Black Family Development, and Development Centers. I'm housed at the Children's Center, so I am a youth advocacy supervisor, also known as the Regional Youth Coordinator for Youth United. So my role is a Regional Youth Coordinator. Hers is the Youth Involvement Specialist. I oversee the Youth United program at the Children's Center, and then she oversees the entire program for all 3 areas.
So when you mentioned entrepreneurs, so you have youth that, like, you may be working with a 14-year-old who says, I want my own business, or I already have my own business. And do you help them develop that?
We
or help
will,
them fine-tune?
Yeah, so we don't directly like assist with fine-tuning like their futures or their goals, but we try to put on programming and training and workshops to help develop those professional skills. We even have courageous conversations that youth can come and join and talk about different topics. Recently we had one on the topic of gun violence in the communities and many different I cannot think. Oh, we just recently had one on LGBTQ plus and allyship there. But we typically try to really focus in on, that's our East region, so our leadership and training region. And we really put emphasis in there to have some trainings outside of just mental health to help with those youth who are looking into other areas like entrepreneurship or, you know, different like the medical fields or, you know, anything of that nature. So, yeah.
Additional things that we do too is identify resources. So we're youth resources, we're that connecting piece. Sometimes we may not be able to provide that service or have those things at hand, but we also do like have that resource or identify that resource, search if we can. We have a youth group called Youth Move Detroit. We'll have meetings, and if someone bring up entrepreneurship and say, hey, I want to do this, it will be our job to see what we can do to help. Identify a resource if we can, maybe, you know, check with some of our partners, see if we can partner on an event that focuses on entrepreneurship. If that was the case, then that would be something that we would do as well.
What are you seeing as some of the needs? Like, are there certain needs that you're seeing, like, okay, our youth need this or that?
A big thing right now is I've been seeing a lot of like social anxieties, a need of trying to reintegrate into society back after COVID.
Yeah.
That's a big thing that I'm seeing as like a need for our youth right now, learning where to go, relearning like what resources are out there. Even with COVID, the need for mental health services have been increasing. We see it now. I think it's become more visible as far as that. Just a quick tangent, like we put DWIN itself, we started a initiative called Putting Children First, in which Youth United has definitely done a lot of programming other than that. But the reason why that started is because we saw that our youth, they need to be put first. Right now, our youth are, tired, they're stressed, they're more vocal about the needs that they have regarding their mental health. And we see that. And so with the goal of Putting Children First is to make all of the services in Wayne County accessible, including ourselves here at Youth United.
Did you want to add anything?
I was definitely thinking along the same.
I was
thinking along the same lines though. So something that I was seeing was that they need that connection again, being able to connect with the community. So sometimes they need like that venting session.
Yeah.
So like just to kind of talk amongst their peers and just to talk about things that's trending, that's going on, that's happening. To find their identities. There's a lot of different things that they're faced with just to talk about it sometimes. And sometimes, you got the therapist, you got other partners that you may be working with, you have family, you have friends, but sometimes they need that community, support as well. And they need that, that venting session. They need to be amongst the peers. So that was
because
another
that's
thing.
how they alleviate that anxiety, because they just hold it all in and it gets bottled up, and then we see them exploding, right? And that's what we don't want.
Absolutely.
We're going to take a quick break. We're going to talk more about, I like that you brought up the part about, them having anxiety and mental health needs, because I'm finding that more youth now are talking about needing therapy than adults. Head over to @MyMedicine with Dr. Michele. We'll see you in a minute. Welcome back. So, Bianca, you made a very important point about youth being more involved. And I'm thinking specifically even of like those younger than 14 saying, I want to get into therapy. And you talked about an experience that you had where you were in therapy. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so, when I came home from college, within that first year, I was still in therapy, dealing with my own anxieties. And at the time, of course, we was in the middle, COVID just began. So it was teletherapy, and I would have it at home. And my niece, she would be home often. And I remember telling her, like, hey, I'll step out. I have to do my therapy session. She was like, okay. Then after my therapy session, she was like, Auntie, I think I want to do therapy. She was like, why do you do therapy? And I told her my reasonings. I'm a very honest aunt. And she was like, yeah, I think I want to get into some therapy. So I knew I utilize my nieces a lot. And like when I do my examples, or even when I'm doing my work, because I have nieces 14, 13, and 12. They definitely give me an ear to like almost, I call it the streets, as far as like what the youth are looking for and like what is the real issues going on. And I have seen like a lot of anxiety come through as far as like youth across the board with what's going on. They have so much access to everything, like with social media. So they see so much, and they're like, I don't get none of this, and like they're not supposed to yet, with a lot of those things, but they see it.
They see it,
and it's like you can't hide it from them at that point. And so I definitely know there is a extreme need for our youth with their dealings with like anxieties of all types.
And and because of that experience, your niece may not associate like mental illness with something bad the same way that someone else who never had that experience, because sometimes therapy is just really, or even having a discussion around mental health is like a foreign concept to people. But just in those seconds you normalized it. those are things we can't get from a textbook, right? We need to, in order, if we want to engage youth voices, we need to be willing to engage them, right? And so that makes a difference. And then it makes them feel good to know that they're being involved in something.
Exactly.
So you guys, and Tyanna, you touched on it earlier, the 3 regions. It's 3, right? 3 regions.
Yep.
Can you get more into that, the regions?
Yep. So we have 3 regions for Youth United, who has 3 different focus areas. Our East region is located at Black Family Development. Their region focuses on leadership and training. So we do a lot of different events for like courageous conversations, our focus groups. So sometimes we'll have like a transitional age youth forum or just different things like that. We'll have different conversations, like Bianca said earlier, about whatever it is that a young person may feel like they want to talk about. Then we have our Northwest region at development centers. They focus on stigma, social marketing, social media. So that's just decreasing stigma, just making sure that youth know what stigma is and how to decrease it. Our social media pages, so our Youth United social media pages, social marketing, our brochures that we have, just different things like that. Also, we highlight youth every year for doing wonderful things in the community. So they do our Youth Spotlight Award banquet, stigma busting bashes, just different things like that. And then we have our Central region at the Children's Center, which focus on advocacy and advisory.
Okay.
So we do a lot more of sitting on committees, kind of telling things from a younger standpoint, advising on certain policies, procedures, just different things, because we're spot on with the services. We get to read what they're talking about, and we get to advise on it. We also sit on tons of different committees within Wayne County. So it could be the System of Care Advisory Council. It could be a wraparound community team. It could be a number of different committees. Also, the advocacy piece. We coordinate a youth called Youth Move Detroit. That's our youth group for Wayne County, for Youth United. That's Youth United's youth group. It's the same age range, 14 to 25. However, sometimes we would make an exception if a young person is really passionate about doing work in the community. We want to mentor them and bring them on. So we do have them kind of peek in on the meetings. We host a meeting every month at the Children's Center. We will bring them in. We talk about just a number of different things to help Youth United plan our events. They get to have a little bit of fun with that. They also get to do, we had an opportunity where we won an award at a conference. Our youth group won an award. And we were able to send one of the members to the conference with us. So they get a number of different opportunities. We have moments where we have these hot topic conversations. So that's that youth need to talk to other people about things. And we'll sit there and have that like peer-to-peer discussion, have the youth talk about different things, and they'll tell us what's trending on social media, and they'll talk about it. They get to talk about it. So we do just different things like that. We plan out different activities, those kind of things. So just those 3 regions.
So one of the things I know when I was talking to you, Bianca, I said, well, do you have a website? And you said, no, we do mostly things through social media. So it sounds like that's by design. Like if you want to, if you're catering to youth, they're not thinking about a website, right?
Absolutely.
They're not asking like, what's your website? They're like, what's your social media handle, or what's your social media? And so that right there, you're going to where they are. So is that by design? That's the reason why you're doing it?
That's one of our,
It makes so much sense now.
Definitely. Because we wanted to connect with them on a different way. So I'm like, what social media platform is trending? Instagram. Hey, we got an Instagram page. Facebook. Some youth, some of our older, within that young adult age range were on Facebook. So they were like, hey, come over to Facebook. Also, some of our partners who could send people over to, be a part of our group. They're on social media as well. So
we're going to head to a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk more about like what you're doing to help youth long term and how to keep their voices active. We'll see you in a minute. Welcome back to the Dr. Michele Show. So you guys are catering to a group that's not really easy to please, right? They're not easily impressed. They're like, okay, yeah, you're doing this, whatever. What's in it for me, basically? And how do you address that whole what's in it for me?
Yeah, definitely incentives, as Tyanna was beginning to touch base on. Major, like, youth love the gift cards. We have our Youth United swag, which is like an array of different types of things there. But also, like, they often come in, and even though they get the gift card or like the swag and things like that, they always take away something. We try to make our events and our activities fun and interactive, so that way they're not just sitting there and just hearing
Listening.
a lecture, right?
Yeah.
We do team building activities. Icebreakers and different things are kind of corny, but it's what warms it up and what makes you really want to stay listening and being active and engaging. And then ultimately, we get those youth and they come in. We sometimes get big groups, but our small groups, like when we do get small groups, I feel like that's where a lot of the work really, you see it work out and you simmer it and you hear the conversations and it's just like, it's so dynamic. And after we are done, it's like, when is the next event? Like, when is the next thing? Or we have our youth advocates, so our youth advocates are between the ages of 18 to 23. They age out at 25. But we often get those who's like, I want to become a youth advocate. I want to get, more involved, like planning events like this. How do I get signed up?
I think another great thing too is we do what they want us to do. So it's like activities that they feel like they want to do. We've been bowling, we've been skating, we've done game nights, we're doing like fun things. If you want to do a rally, if you want to do, going to certain places that like capture their attention. So we meet them where they're at. We ask for their ideas. Every event that we're planning, even if it's talking about mental health. Every year we do a Children Mental Health Awareness Day. So we ask them what they want and they tell us, and we come up with a plan to make it happen together, because it's like, if that's what will meet y'all where y'all at, then
I think that answers my question. I was going to ask, like, how do you sustain this long term? Because we know that people check in and check out, and I mean, we know that, if we had a penny for every program that develops and, that's no longer in existence, I think we would be billionaires. So it's like, how do we do something that's for long term? And I think you've named that. Like, you're letting them be involved. And so it's constantly evolving, right? Because as you get new people in, you get new ideas in, and you remain open to those new ideas.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And then the trends change as things goes on.
Yes.
Especially when COVID came around, and then I got into the program and started seeing things. It's like, one thing we started was like a youth involvement survey. What are we looking for youth to do? Because a big question that kept coming up to like a lot of youth groups I would interact with was like, how are you all getting your youth? I'm like, how are you getting your youth?
Yeah.
And
I was going to ask that question, actually.
And that's when I got with my team. I was like, we need to ask the youth what they want, and hopefully they'll come to the things that they want to do, right? And so we began a youth involvement survey. We passed it out to the providers under D-Win's network. We also passed it out to youth groups in the community, and we were able to gauge different. We're still passing it out to this day, and we're still engaging, like, what are the activities going on that they want to do. And as the times are changing, because we was in the motion of like, are we in person? Are we at home? We're hybrid? Like, what are we doing? Are the youth comfortable going back in person, or do they still want to do virtual events? We even looking at the seasons changing. We're going into winter. Are they really going to come outside to our events? So that's really like one of the concrete ways we really was able to get some motion as far as like how we getting our youth back outside and into our events.
I think another big major thing for our team is that it's a youth-led group. And all of us have lived experience in certain areas. So ironically, Bianca and I, we both started off as youth advocates years and years ago, which is great. But we're able to share our personal stories, our voice, advocate on behalf of young people. And, they also get to hear, like, why we do the work that we do. They also get to hear, what is it that brought us here, and just those different kind of things. We get to share our stories.
Right.
And they get to see that we resonate with them. Like, we connect with them on a different level too, because we've been there before. And I think a lot of young people are impacted by those things too. They're like, wow, like, she went through that and she's here, like, oh my God, this is great. So being able to, our whole entire staff, everyone on our staff has a story.
So with what you do, your program is so comprehensive. It's very focused but comprehensive. do you look for volunteers? And if so, let us know how, how can we get involved?
Yeah, so all of our events, especially our Children's Mental Health Awareness Day, more of our bigger events, we also collaborate with another partner to do like quarterly big events. But a biggest way we can get involved with us is through our Facebook, like we said, our social media, our Facebook, Instagram, and our Twitter. Which are Facebook. If you find us, you'll just type in Youth United, or if you're typing in the web bar WC Youth United, you'll find us. On Instagram, it's WC_Youth United 1, and the same for our Twitter, WC Youth United. So if you message us, if you see an event, I know I'm currently working on creating a sign-up genius, so that way people can be able to find a role that they're interested in and know how many hours that they would like to work it out. Or we will reach out to our providers or, different youth groups in the community to see like, hey, would you like to assist us with this event? So yeah, there is definitely ways for you to get involved.
All right, great. So, social media, I'm sure, here we come.
Right.
Well, thank you, Bianca and Tyanna. We're going to take a break. Be right back. Thank you for watching. Simply telling youth to do better doesn't work. We must encourage and inspire them through action and opportunity. Head over to @MyMedicine with Dr. Michele to share your thoughts about today's episode and more. Improve your mental health, improve your life. See you next week.